Welcome to yet another edition from WhysofBible. Can you believe me if I tell you the first verse of Bible answers four integral concepts of physics? Did you know the Bible speaks about creation 10 times more than all spiritual texts combined which is available to mankind? Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Let us decode this verse to further limits. The first verse of the Bible speaks about time. It speaks about the causal agent. It speaks about space. And it speaks about matter. These are the four important functional concepts of physics, without which the entire physics is just a null character. Let us try to understand one by one. What is time? It might sound very simple to you. You might think it is just about your watch. It's about the present, past, future. It's about a morning, afternoon, the evening, etc., etc. But this is more than that. 2400 years ago, Aristotle, the famous philosopher, said, "It is the most unknown of all unknown things." In the later time, numerous physicists spent hundreds of time in understanding what is time. If you go and knock the doors of Einstein's house and you ask him what is time, he would probably tell you time is an illusion. Time doesn't remain the same to everyone. It is most relative to the observer. Time doesn't remain the same for everyone. It varies from observer to observer. This is the implication of his famous theory of relativity. If you would like to know more about this, you can surf a lot of content available on the internet. Still now, time is an ununderstood component or a concept. So let us go to the secondary part. It speaks about space. What is space? Space is not just something, nothing. It is more than that. They say it is the fabric of the cosmos. In the 1600s, Newton said, space is not nothing. It should be something. That is the reason why light has the ability to pass through by. And he further said, it is an invisible but very real structure that gives all motion in the cosmos. And he concluded, space is not nothing. Later in the 1800s, another scientist, Ivan Marx, said, space is not a thing, and he proved that. Later in the 1900s, Einstein said, space is the arena where all the events unfold within the cosmos. Still now, this title space is an enigma for many people. And finally, we have some understanding about this matter because it is very visible to our eyes. The first verse of Bible speaks about everything. Genesis 1:1 speaks about all these three integral components of physics. It speaks that everything had a beginning. It were not existing as an eternal component. It had a beginning. In the beginning, which implies time had a beginning. God created. Who is the causal agent behind this creation? Heavens and the earth. Heavens represents the space, the void, empty space. Earth represents the matter. It is mind-boggling. It is very tough for us to understand. The first verse of the Bible just answers the integral components. One of the most integral things that is the sequence in which it unfolds. Without space, matter cannot be accommodated. The sequence itself, it's something startling. I don't find any better words to put forth this beautiful verse. The word of God is tested for decades and for millennials. It still remains the same. It still answers the very tough questions we've been exploring for hundreds of years. But most modern scientists are against the word of God. They have invented a new concept called the universe had its beginning from nothing. What does it mean? Let us discuss further. In the year 2013, there was a huge news coming out. They were telling, we have found out the God particle. We are 99% close to the God particle. But after some 8-9 years, there is no talk about it. They are still standing at 99% close to the God particle. After that, nobody knows what happened. They say everything started from nothing, but nothing itself a big term. What does it mean? I have some excerpts from a famous writer called Hughes. Does it mean it is a lack of matter and energy, lack of space-time dimensions? Does it mean lack of particles? So on and so forth. The term unknown, the term nothing is also difficult to define. But they say in the beginning there were matter and they were fusing together and there was an explosion, and further the Big Bang happened and everything came into existence. In such a case, where did those matter came from? That is another big question. But all rational space-time and most proven theorems suggest that everything had a beginning. Genesis 1:1 answers this explicitly. There is a very famous mathematician called Berlinski, and he had narrated something interesting in his book called The Devil's Delusion. And he had narrated the theories suggested by Hawking in a form of a Q&A. You'll find it really interesting. Have a look into it. Mr. Hawking, where did our universe evolve from? And he says, our universe evolved from a much smaller, much emptier mini-universe. Mr. Hawking, what was a smaller, emptier universe like? And he answers, it was a 4-dimensional sphere with nothing much inside. How can a sphere have 4 dimensions? And he answers, a sphere may have 4 dimensions. A sphere may have 4 dimensions if it has one more dimension than a 3-dimensional sphere. You may think of that as obvious. And this talk goes on. It might sound something laughable for you, but this is what exactly the implications of Hawking's theorem. You may think and you may question what was there before this cosmological existences. And we have a better understanding and better clarity and better answers. Before these cosmological creations, there was another realm called the spiritual realm. It was existing before that. And God entered into his design room and he created everything which has been existing now in his unlimited wisdom. And he designed it and made into existence. So even after decades and millennials, the word of God remains the same. It's still trustworthy. Just one verse and answers the most critical components of the 20th century mathematics, physics and science. And one more interesting fact about this verse, the one and only book which speaks God who is above this cosmological time, this space and matter. No other so-called scriptures answers with such kind of clarity. And the God we speak about is beyond and above everything. Do you still think the word of God can be trusted? I assure you, the word of God can be trusted to the core. In the further coming editions, we will discuss more about it. Thanks for watching.